She closed her eyes and stood at the center of the chamber, feeling the hum beneath her feet. The floor vibrated in subtle rhythms, designed to prod every species' equilibrium, to map the edges of fragility. The officers recorded, fingers dancing over transparent interfaces, analyzing micro-adjustments in her posture. According to their historical data, she should have toppled, collapsed, or at the very least shown some reaction. She did none of those things. From her origin world, storms had shaped her lungs, wind blasted her bones, and sharpened her reflexes to a level the facility's designers never considered. To them, she was a low-risk anomaly. To her, the room was simply a space to exist within. The first test was simple on paper, a mild atmospheric distortion meant to induce nausea. The chamber's air warped, subtle currents twisting, pressing unevenly against each lung. Her companions, aliens of precise form and fragile physiology, staggered, heads rolling, limbs trembling. She remained still. Her breath came evenly, measured, her eyes closed as though she were meditating in the middle of a storm. The observers' logs flickered, red warnings of anomalous resilience rising quietly, unnerving them. Next came the pressure gradient test. The walls themselves shifted minutely, compressing and stretching the chamber with a force calculated to strain skeletal and muscular structures. The aliens monitored strain sensors, predicting fractures or dislocations. Instead, she adjusted imperceptibly, her body microcalibrating in ways their instruments failed to quantify. Tendons elongated, muscles contracted with subtle timing, tiny adjustments that made her effectively immune to the stress. One officer leaned closer to a display, whispering what should have been impossible. She's adapting organically. They escalated. The null field, the facility's ultimate stressor, engaged. Its vibrations and electromagnetic pulses were designed to simulate environmental conditions beyond any natural world. Most species exposed to it screamed, thrashed, or fainted. Some became unresponsive, convulsing as the field sought to measure endurance. She inhaled, slow and controlled. When the pulses reached their first apex, her body absorbed them like a sponge, imperceptibly flexing. The monitors registered overloads, alarms muted. The aliens began to debate protocol. Her species had been catalogued as a curiosity, something to monitor for statistical completeness, not a real variable to fear. Their rules accounted for hundreds of physiological baselines, but none for her. Every increase in stress produced no observable weakness. The null field intensified, and the very air seemed to thicken, pressing against her chest and limbs. The walls of the chamber warped as though alive, senses screaming in protest. She did not flinch. She did not move. She merely endured. Then came the irreversible moment. A containment unit, automatic and merciless, began to descend. Designed to crush and isolate anyone exceeding expected tolerances, it engaged without warning. The majority of subjects would panic, breaking bones or straining muscles to avoid death. She did not. The mechanical petals closed around her with precise force, yet her body shifted, tiny movements that deflected pressure without triggering alarms for restraint breaches. Metal bent, sensors overloaded, control protocols failed. The council fell silent. No one had predicted endurance at this scale. No amount of calibration had foreseen it. The human's calm became a quiet authority in itself. She opened her eyes, revealing only the smallest hint of awareness, a soft but unyielding patience. Her gaze was steady, almost contemplative. The aliens recorded the moment with fascination bordering on fear. Humanity, it seemed, could not be measured using their protocols, their scales, or their predictions. Their assumptions had failed spectacularly. The null field powered down, the chamber returning to baseline, but the air still vibrated with residual uncertainty. The human stepped down from the central platform with methodical grace. She did not seek acknowledgement or reward. The facility's logs updated silently, protocols adjusted. Authority shifted subtly in the chambers above. Officers who had doubted her species now recalculated risk quietly, systematically, never verbalizing their change but implementing it in every command. A second test was scheduled the following week, a biomolecular destabilization simulation intended to push cellular integrity to its limits. Again, she endured, adjusting in ways the instruments failed to register. Observers noted that her body's adaptive response had no equal in any recorded species. Every increase in severity revealed more anomalies, more deviations from what they thought was normal. And yet she never claimed dominance. She never made noise. She simply existed, enduring and adapting with quiet precision. Weeks passed. The council convened in private chambers, revising classifications, risk metrics, and institutional memory. Subtle notes were added to training manuals. Human response may exceed safe prediction ranges. Monitor with caution. This phrasing was deliberately understated, a quiet acknowledgement of what they could not yet articulate. She had rewritten the rules of biological endurance without a single dramatic display. One final trial remained. A gravitational environment led with variable electromagnetic pulses and auditory dissonance, a test designed to disorient all subjects at once. She was placed in the chamber alone. Walls shimmered, floors shifted, and the air bent unpredictably. Instruments screamed, unable to model her stability. She stood in the center, eyes closed, silent, enduring. Time stretched. Pulses increased. She breathed evenly. Senses began to fail completely. Readings inconsistent, data meaningless. For the first time, the council did not attempt to intervene. They watched, quietly, their assumptions unraveling in real time. When the trial ended, she opened her eyes slowly and walked out. The chamber's systems hummed in new rhythms, as if uncertain how to interact with her species again. The observers did not cheer, did not signal accomplishment. There was only recognition. Humanity's presence could not be quantified, constrained, or predicted. She had closed her eyes, waiting for death, and in doing so had altered the galaxy's understanding of human potential entirely. An officer finally whispered to their colleague, almost as if saying it aloud could make it untrue, "We were wrong." No further explanation was necessary. Humanity had been quietly redefined, not through spectacle, not through loud confrontation, but through measured endurance, subtle defiance of expectation, and the patience to let events unfold on their own terms. The ripple she left behind was silent but undeniable. Every protocol, every classification, every assumption about humans was now forever altered. And she walked on, unassuming, leaving the cosmos to catch up to what it had just witnessed.